Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Murdock Manwaring Company, a real estate group at Keller Williams Realty East Idaho. Our stats video for August of 2022. We are your neighbors in the know, and we love real estate, we love people, and we love our community, and want to do all we can to help all of those areas. So anyway, thanks for watching, and let's see if we can get rolling. We know that this has been a crazy, crazy market, and month by month we go over our local market and we dig deep. And so let's go ahead and roll right into our stats.
Yeah,
so
let's talk about for 1 second, because everybody is, I read 10 articles a day and headlines saying that everything's crashing, everything's coming to an end. What's really happening, right? What's really going to happen? What has happened? Where are we right now in this moment? Because, you know, a lot of the panic may not be true. Some of it may be true. But I like doing these because it really gives us an idea of what's actually happening, so we can analyze, you know, the biggest investment in our lives is, you know, as real estate, and help really get the facts out there. So
yeah, all we're sharing today is just the stats, the numbers, and our opinion on what that means. And you can make your opinion on what it means, but there's not much room around the opinion. So, I mean, it's just, this is what it is. So,
yeah.
And anyway, these are our stats for August 2022. So we are reviewing the month that we've passed through, because that way we have all the stats. So everything you see here will be a review of August 2022, and it will be Bonneville, Jefferson, and Bingham counties until you see it's in Idaho Falls. So let's rock and roll. So as of August of this past year in Bonneville, Bingham, and Jefferson County, we had 234 homes closed versus closing in 295 homes from last year. So we've gone down about 21% decrease in homes sold, single family homes. So whenever we're saying that their homes are selling less, now we normally do start to see a little turn here, but this is a pretty significant turn. And we've seen it going down a little each month.
And that's higher the amount of homes in June, but and it's also higher, a lot higher than July. July was a really, really low month. So anyway, so that's a pretty normal month. So
Yep. So it's not terrible. It's not, this is not crashing. We are not diving to the bottom. That is for sure. Not diving to the bottom. So on this, if we take a look at, let's go at what it looked like on the breakdown. So here are homes, the July homes sold. So of course, right there, the big number, under 500,000. Under 500,000 is our big heavy hitter at 175 of the homes. Average days on market, 28 days. And then you get into that mid-range, which is the 500 to $1 million, and that's 53 homes, and that's 33 days. And it's surprising to me that the days on market is only that much higher when you get all the way up to $1 million. That's surprising to me. But then you get down, and we have the highest priced home that sold last month is $1.5 million. We only did 6 homes from $1 million up, and that was 68 days on market.
What we saw earlier in the year was a lot more homes above 600,000 for sale. Not as many anymore. They basically have left the market. They didn't sell either. So kind of left the market. I think this is for August.
August. Sorry about that. That's what happens when you let me be in charge of things. Yep. So August. Thank you, Chad.
Yep.
So let's take a look at a snapshot. So this just gives you an idea. People wonder, this is not a really good indicator, but this just gives you kind of an idea on the average price per square foot, how it's been changing over time. Starting back in 2021, we were at $140 per square foot. And that was just last year, which was high prices. And so now we've come down where this is the first month or the second month we've seen a little reduction, or third month, sorry, little reduction in average price per square foot, which may be an indicator that smaller homes are selling rather than the higher end up, because this is an average. Yeah. So homes sold year to date. So this is a pretty big indicator as well, because this takes a little bit bigger snapshot. We sold 1,726 homes in 2022 year to date through the end of August, and last year 1,869. So that puts us at a 7.7% decrease.
And that may, and that is a little bit mixed with the pre-rise of interest rates.
Right.
And so we've got a good stat coming up that's going to show the effect of the interest rates, and really we want to be watching is that's kind of the point where things did change. So a lot of those were change, right?
Yep. So we have some tainted data that's in a different market that's in the year to dates. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good point. It's a different market.
And the rates are working. I mean, they're trying to curb enthusiasm and confidence, and 7% less amount of 7% of people that are less than last year. So
yeah, definitely true. And but this is the stat that doesn't change. And this is what I think is where Chad said a lot of that indication of is it really falling? Well, here's your average price. Here's the average price that sold in Bonneville, Bingham, Jefferson County, $425. Now, in the height of the craziness, we were seeing this. Chad was giving his predictions up to $500,000, but we've moved down, and this is average price. So that doesn't mean that we aren't selling higher. It just means the homes that actually sold, they average them out. So when we drop off sales in that higher end, you're going to get the average sale price, and we're at $425 over last year, which was $387. So we are still seeing almost a 10% increase in values on average in the market. So we have not seen prices crash as a result over last year. And that leads us kind of to this little snapshot, which is really interesting. Chad, you want to pick up kind of a little on this?
Yeah, this one I think really tells a lot of our story of where things are. We started the year at an average price of $413,000. We went up 2% the next month. We went up almost 2% again in March. And then we took a big boom at 5.8%. And I think that's when they're like, hey, we're going to be out of control. This isn't going to change. We got to raise rates and curb it. We instantly saw a decrease in that price, down 1.2%. And then it went up just a little bit in June. Then we saw it down 2 3/4 points in July. And then we saw in August 3.8%. So basically we were up 9.7% in the first quarter of the year. And now through, since the rates went up, we're down 7.4% in value. So overall this year, instead of like 30% increase in value, we're still above where we were last year. We're at 2.4%. So we haven't dropped prices from last year. We just have halted our appreciation. And so we basically, it's kind of like in the football game, you're throwing that ball to that receiver and you're leading him ahead. We just can't lead that ball anymore. I mean, the market is going on a downward trend right now. But it's not like a huge downward trend. It's just, we're back to where we were we're not even back to where we were in January. We're back to where we were pretty much in February. And
so,
I'm guessing that will continue to decrease a little bit.
And I would add in there, that is not price point specific, right?
No.
And so that's just taking the entire market and saying this is the average of everything. There are some harder hit price points than we saw that, because 75% of all the transactions and all the homes that sold were under, what was that number? Was it 500,000? Under 500, 75%. And so, the other price points above that, I think are it could be a little bit different on that downswing in the percentage. So if you're interested to know that, you need to call us and we can get real specific with a price range for you.
Yeah, if you're 600,000 and above, we would want to do those numbers based on 600,000 above. So yeah, it's definitely an average. So, but it's interesting. I mean, I think that tells our story.
Yeah. And as we get to higher, when we average this out, if people when the interest rates changed, that shifted everyone's price point down. So as you see, when you start to buy, when you look at this and think, oh, prices are coming down. Well, really, everyone shifted into a lower price bracket if they were not paying cash. So that will shift our average closed sale down, because why? People had to buy less with that interest rate, which is what the government was trying to do.
Which is what the plan was. Yeah. Everything that's happening right now was planned and hoping that this would happen to force a recession, so that we didn't crash. The market doesn't crash. And so it's good. These are good numbers.
And these aren't huge. They're not, this is not the sky is falling numbers at all.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we do watch it every single month. So we'll keep you up to date.
Yeah. So as we look at here, average price, this is year to date. If we take a look again, this is bringing in that different market at the front of the year before the April rate change. And that shows us that we are getting 436. And that brings us down from last year was 367. And so that's almost a 20% increase still. So, I mean, that's year over year average price for the whole year. This is an interesting stat on the list to sold. I think this is a hot a hot number that everyone's wondering. Are prices coming down? We are seeing a lot of price reductions. So when you look at August closings, the original list, so where did they originally start on price and what did they finally sell at? Last year, we are over 100% at that point. Now we're at 93. So people are, whether or not they're still pricing a little too high, and or whether or not they're being willing to move things forward because there's so much more inventory. When there's more competition, you've got to get more competitive. You know, back last year, there were so few homes being sold. So you can be at the top of the market when there's less competition. We've had a lot more as we get to the inventory slides. We'll see that, but you have to come down. You have to be competitive to sell. So I feel like that's a Brian.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this one's pretty interesting to me because I'll always get to the end here and when we're picking prices, I mean, coming down 7% from the original list to sell ratio when last year was, I mean, we had upwards of 106% on our team. And so, I mean, 7%, 7.7 decrease. That's crazy. That's big.
Yeah. Especially when you think of the average home is 400,000, right, Brian? 7% is $21,000, right? Yeah. I mean, that's a big deal. And Brian doing lots of listings, that's a hard conversation to have.
And it's a reflection that, people are not pricing their homes based on the market. They're pricing the home based on what they want. And so you got to be able to respect the market. The market doesn't care what you think it's worth. The market doesn't care what, we think it's worth. There is a market price for your home. You have to fit in the market. We always say, Brian, that you're either one of two homes, the one that sells or the one that helps the other home sell. And so this just shows that people are not pricing their homes based on the market. And the sellers, and it's a hard sell. The sellers, it's hard to accept this. It's hard to say, oh, my home isn't worth $40,000 more. It's $40,000 less.
And this is probably I think the hardest pill to swallow on this for sellers is that if you do an appraisal or if you look at a historical situation, you may feel the house is worth higher. But right now, you've got to base it on competition. How much competition is out there and how do I compete? And if I put my price higher, are there other homes that are going to sell? The competition is really a big part of pricing right now because there's just more.
And it doesn't matter if the houses down the street are all listed at 400K. It doesn't mean to say that you can list yours for 400K realistically, because are they under contract at 400K? And there's a big difference between market value and actual sold value. And that's why we're seeing, I think a part of that number is a lot of sellers are just starting a little too high. And so just because your friend got 20K off a listing doesn't mean to say that they actually got $20,000 less than what it was worth. It depends on where they started at in the first place.
So true. So true. And that takes us out to the year to date. So year to date, because we've got that we saw a flood of inventory, which was so interesting. At the same time, price changed because people were worried about missing out. So we saw the earlier of the year when you lump it in here, where that 98.6 is the list to sell, original list to sell from if you do your year to date versus the 102. So super interesting. Just a 3.8 decrease when you look at the year to date.
I think it's also good to note that our team, our list to sold year to date is right around 102, 103%. Yeah. So we are 5% higher than other people. So people say, oh, well, I can't afford to pay a commission. Well, we're getting people 5% more than the market. And, that's important to know. And I mean, it changes things. So if you're getting 98% and still paying a 6% commission, that's 92%. And we're, about a little over 102, almost 103% in our year-to-date list price to sell. So
commission should be an investment, not a cost.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So as that leads us to, go ahead. That leads us to really, what is the truth about price reductions? What is going on right now in the market and how's that looking? So if we take a look at what's going on in this world, we're looking at, as in August, we had 339 price reductions in August. And that puts us at year to date, 1,116 total price reductions. Now, I say that. I don't say price reductions. I should probably change this. This brings in price changes. So if someone took their price up, that would also be limited. We just don't see that a lot. So there might be some smaller portions of that, but this is a price change. And if we take a look at that versus last year, let's put it into perspective. Is that a lot? That's when we look into seeing is that a lot? Well, as of the year to date last year, we are 461 and August at 101. So we're 3 times as many price changes as we had last year.
At least we're willing to move with the market.
Yes.
The market shifted, and at least we're getting some price reductions and getting more realistic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's the real truth of the price reductions. Average days on market. How long does it take to sell a house right now? We are seeing this big significant increase. We're at 35 days on market for the closed sales in August versus last year, which is 17. We're at 105%. So we've gone twice as much. We are twice as long to sell. So I think this shouldn't worry people, right? Because this just means you need to be prepared to know that.
Yeah.
Prepare to know it's going to take longer to sell your house.
And this is a leading indicator of what's on the horizon. As much as anything else that we can look at is it taking longer for homes to sell? And so we are seeing an increase. So if we are going to tell the future, this is one that we want to keep an eye on.
Absolutely.
And that's not a number we're afraid of. I mean, we're used to 60, 70, 90, 100 days on the market, you know.
That's what I was going to say. It's an increase from last year.
Yeah.
But is it an increase historically on what's normal? No.
Yeah.
It's actually
So
Alan's-
I would like to know this stat
Yeah.
for our team, since we are getting more money to our sellers. How does that look? I would bet that our stat for our team that we have lower days on market.
Yeah.
Since we're pricing it right, we may not. That's what I would think.
well, not just pricing it right, pushing it out to the market aggressively with all of our marketing and everything else that we do extra.
Absolutely. All right. So as we move forward, let's take a look at year to date. What does it look like at a larger snapshot? Year to date at 25, year to date in 20. This is interesting to me. 2021. I don't know why that's shocking to me. 2021, we were year to date 21 days on market. So not a significant change year to date on days on market. So that's pretty interesting to me.
And I think that's mainly just because it's mainly happened in the last few months. And so again, it's
Yeah,
average,
I was going to say January, February, March were super spicy months. So it's probably just the culmination of all that.
Yeah. I'd say that 34 is really our better number in August. I mean, that's where we are.
I agree with that. So as we take a look and move on, let's see, hold on. Here we go. Made a big jump. So here's just a good historical, like Ashley said, just looking back, giving a true picture all the way back to 2017. We are still in a pretty good days on market situation.
And the thing is, back in 2017, did anybody complain about days on market at 54?
No.
That was still better because it was still trending downward, And so, so we have a lot of room on that area to still be considered a very healthy market.
Yep, absolutely.
I think these stats are vital for us to be providing for consumers because as long as you know information, you don't have to worry. So for instance, if you say, it used to be normal for us to sit 2 months on the market. If we can push that out and share that with our friends, with our other agents, with your neighbor who's thinking of selling your house, just push that information and say, don't worry, your home, is going to sit there for a bit. And that's typical. We just need to be not so rush and just say, hey, just be prepared. This is the actuality. So just be prepared. So I think that's the most valuable part of having these stats is just giving people true information and being prepared.
Well, and it's stats based on facts. You know what I mean? It's not jumping on, Facebook or social media and reading an article that you have no idea where they got their numbers from. We are pulling real-time numbers for our local market. So.
Yeah. And as you take a look at this, Gary Keller said something really interesting when you think about how this positions is when you go into a casino and you go in with $100 and you win and you have $500, but you decide to keep playing. And then you end up going down and you have $300 and that's when you cash out. You didn't lose $200. You gained $200 from the $100 you walked in. Until you cash out, you're not losing value. It's always a long game. It's until you cash out is when it looks at, and you didn't lose that. You never had that $500 unless you cashed out. So keep that in mind. You're still up from when you walked in the casino. Unless you're underwater from when you bought your house, you're up. Yep.
I
So
don't
let's
like
take a look
this
at
next.
snapshot. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, I don't like this next page where we have that 21% of
Yeah.
deals falling apart still. It's like,
I
Yeah.
was just going to say the same thing. I hate that stat.
yeah.
I mean, 21%, and that was when it was hot, and that's even now. It's still about 20% of all deals fall through, which, I mean,
Think of it. Think what it takes to get to a pending sale. We've already negotiated. We've already established price. We've
4
already
days on
pre-qual.
market.
Yes, that number
35 days on market.
124 people on each side, 62 a side. Were so disappointed last month.
Yeah.
What's our
It's like
team stat of terminations? Do you know that? 'Cause I know it's lower.
Yeah. I don't know that.
and we don't have the
Percent-wise.
percentage, but that would be a good one to pull up.
Yeah.
it's very,
Yeah.
very little.
Our
Very,
listing
very few.
agents very heavily vet, any buyer and any agents that's coming in on your listing, and they're not just looking at price and having you sign a contract just based on price alone. You can never ever hire your realtor based on the price they're telling you to sell your house for. There's a lot more that goes into that. And, our listing agents, Jess and Brian are really vetting that buyer and that agent and that lender and digging really deep into those contract terms to make sure it doesn't fall through. And it's the same on the buy side. Whitney, Crystal, Nicole, we all make sure that, any buyers that are offering on a property that we feel like it looks like a solid offer for you, and that, it's not going to be a seller that might terminate on you or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Now,
think this
oh,
stat,
go
Jeremy,
ahead.
I think this stat is very telling of realtors nowadays. We had a lot of realtors become realtors in the craziness. And I think this stat right here is showing that that there is kind of a lack of skill in realtors, and they're going to kind of fall off the wayside. The ones that don't know how to keep a deal together, they're going to have a tough time getting through this shift in the market. And so you're going to see the cream of the crop of realtors rise, and you're going to see, people are going to get better and people are going to change. And I think with that fallout, that percentage, I think it's kind of indicative of the skill level of the realtors. And I think we're going to lose a lot of realtors that just don't have what it takes to be good realtors.
Yeah.
Well,
we have to,
80%
this
of
is
the
a great
agents out
interview
there
question.
don't
Oh,
have
go ahead.
much experience. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
It could be.
they don't have that. So,
What's
It's a good question
interesting
to ask your
also.
realtor when you interview is how many
Oh,
deals did you
yeah.
it fell apart last week or last month or the month before?
yeah, not how many years have you been in real estate? How many deals have you had closed in the market in the last year? And that'll very quickly tell you whether a listing agent or whatever agent you're looking for is actually a full-time agent or not.
Yeah.
So
Experience is a big value.
It is.
Look at
Especially
the
now.
average list price right now compared
Yeah,
to
this
what
is
things are
interesting.
selling for. That is such a
We've still got some stuff, and we're going to see the inventory here in a second that'll kind of show us. We have the highest, if there's a house on the market right now that is the highest priced house property ever been listed on the MLS. So I'll show that in a minute. But we're at, and that might be, well, anyway, so we got 341 homes came on the market. That's down 3% over last month, which is normal. As we start to move to the fall, we will start to see people not listing their houses, knowing especially with the days on market are longer. They'll say, I don't want to have to move out at Christmas or that. So you'll see a little slowing, but the sellers that are listing are serious. And the buyers that are buying are serious. So it's a great time in the winter and fall to buy and sell a house. Interesting fact on the original list to current price or current sold. So these homes that came on the market, when you look at that, the average price is there. What is their current, if they're still active, what's their current price? And when they sold, what's interesting of the houses that came on the market in August, 97% when they sold, they came down 3%. But the ones sitting on the market are still at 98% of what they originally started at. So that's kind of an interesting thing. The people that wanted to get sold took the price, got aggressive, and got it done. And then 289 homes went pending, which means they went under contract, received an offer, they came to an agreement, and then we saw 62 fall apart as a result of that. So super interesting snapshot as a result of that. So let's take a look at, this is something that I thought was interesting as of pulling the stats this year. In August, we had 114 homes withdraw from the market, which means they decided not to sell, right? So
if I can't get the price, I'm taking it off, right?
Right.
yeah.
I'm going to rent
They
or I'm
weren't
not going to
super
sell.
motivated.
Yes. So I put this in the historical perspective all the way back to 2015. That's a big number historically. a big number. Last year, we in the month of August, we only saw 28, 24, and you go back to 2015, it is still 50. And we saw 114 people say, yeah, I'm not going to sell. That's super interesting. Super interesting.
They're
And that-
semi-motivated.
That's, well, also motivated, but I think it's maybe related to the fact that at what price did they realize that they can't sell it that now affects where they can buy because of the rates.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, and I can
Good
see Whitney
point.
nod, and Whitney's buyer's agent on our team, and she probably saw that too, right, Whit?
And as rates went up and we saw all these homes come on the market, I mean, that's a good portion of those homes were the ones that said, okay, the boat is changing direction. Let's see if we can make this work. Let's see if we can get that. Oh, we're not going to get it. Okay, we're out. So
Yeah.
Staying.
Or people were testing, can I get what I want? If I can't get what I want, I'm just, okay, then I'm going to stay. You know, I didn't realize, and I'm not going to get what I want. So yeah, really interesting. So expired. So the difference of withdrawn and expired means that they had a listing agreement and the time factor ran out. So that means they didn't withdraw it themselves. It came off the market because it expired, which means it sat on the market long enough for the agreement to expire. So 17 homes. So that's not too unusual. So if they're not expiring, people are taking them off the market, getting sick of it instead of it just going so long. So that was interesting to me.
What's currently on the market?
Currently on the market, Jeremy, what a great transition.
I could tell the future.
You do. You have that crystal ball. So as of right now, as of this morning in Bonneville, Bingham, and Jefferson counties, we have 652 homes on the market. That's down 5.3 from last month. So it's been a couple months since we've seen inventory going down. We've been climbing. Average
So
days
could
on
that
market.
mean that we're seeing the market, you know, I mean, is this our shift? I mean, are we kind of flattening out now? I mean, we'll see what this happens. In 2 months, if this continues, this might have been our bump and we're moving on to the next journey, you know, so.
Yep.
Could be.
Yep, exactly. Average days on market of the homes currently sitting on the market that have not sold is 66. That's a big number. And the original to current list price is 96. Average price per square foot is 194. So they might be sitting for 66 days because that's a pretty big number. If we think back on what the average square footage on the sold was versus this, you guys remember what it is?
424.
I'm going to jump back.
164.
Average per square, where's my, I'm going to jump back.
168, 74.
68, yep. Where's my home sold? Right here. 168 is what they're selling for. So when you jump what's sitting on the market. So
the average list right now is substantially higher, and we may need to see a bunch more price drops to
exactly right.
bring
But
it
what's
back to
interesting is our absorption rate is still under 3 months. That means, for anybody who doesn't know, how many months would it take to sell out of the inventory we currently have if no more comes on the market? If we're below 5 to 6 months, we are a seller's market still. But I would think these buyer's agents may tell you, or our listing agents, that it doesn't feel like a seller's market. It feels a lot like a buyer's market right now, which is interesting.
And the price points on this next slide says a lot, right? We're
It does.
selling 75% under 500,000, but that's not what's listed,
Right.
right? It's the percentage above 500 is a lot higher percentage. On
Yeah,
average.
you have a heavy load up here above the $500,000 mark, and they're sitting. So as you look at days on market, take a look at those days on market. Here's our big heavy hitter at 3.5 million. It's been on the market 468 days.
And all those skew the higher list price averages,
Exactly right.
and the higher days
Yeah.
on market. So
Exactly right.
Throw that one out.
Yeah. So when you get right here in the pocket, here's, you're still looking though, everywhere from 39 to 69. But even right there, look at that. This is the first time we've seen this big jump of 400 to 600. We've been seeing those still sell, but that's a little higher day on market. So right here is that sweet spot. Months of inventory are low, and you're starting to see the months of inventory creep up here, which means it's moving toward a buyer's market as we start to get above 600,000. So this is a really interesting stat. This one at 3.5 million is a 17-acre horse property with some things. We've never closed a home above 3 million in the whatever what I could find in the MLS. So a residential home. Okay, let's keep moving through. Current pendings. So this means how many houses are currently under contract. And we've got 334 under contract at an average price of $448. Current original price to current, 96.5, which means what price got them under contract? How low did they have to come down to get a buyer enticed to a contract? Average price per square foot, 177. So when we look at those stats, and of course you're going to want your agent to talk about your specific price range, but if we looked at the market as a whole, the ones that are selling are at 168, the ones sitting on the market at 196, 194, the ones that are under contract are at 177.
Interesting.
So what it takes to sell, what does it take to get under contract, what's sitting out there not selling? So super interesting. Average days on market, 27. So last month, this is what it looked like last month in July. Just a little, just to give you a little idea, not a huge change, I believe, except for a little tick up in original price to current. Not a huge, big change. So
well, let's burn through just Idaho Falls market real quick just to give some highlight touches.
let's do it. So just a little idea, how many sold? We sold 159. That's up 30% on an average days on market and 33. Original list is sold. Super interesting. 92.6. That's an interesting stat for Idaho Falls. And this is within the 5 Idaho Falls high schools. The homes on the market right now are 425. That's up about 5. But they're sitting out there almost 60 days on market at 96%. And we have 2.7 months of inventory on the market, the absorption rate. So
basically things are selling at 93. They're on the market at 96. If you're not selling, someone's going to do a 3% price drop and they're going to be the one that sells.
And they're going to sell. Yep. Based on the stats. Exactly right. Here's what the current inventory looks like. We've got some decent inventory under 500,000, but we got some heavy. We're heavy right in the middle, 500 to $1 million. And they've been sitting for a little while. But take a look at this. This was interesting to me. 300 to 500, still average days on market, 55 and 50. So you can still expect your home to be on the market just a little bit and then watch it sell. So really interesting. Right now with our pendings, we are at 222, average price of 428. Look at that average square footage. That's what enticed a buyer to make an offer, 167, and that average days on market was 42. So this is what the most, what? A
little below the closed average.
It is. It is. So this is what's enticing people right now. This is the most current data. We don't know what they're going to sell for, but we know this price got people to make offers. So sellers, this is what you're looking at right here. And that's it. The stats.
There's the facts. What's it going to do next month? We don't know.
Yeah.
But I think the takeaway is that Chad was wrong. We may not hit 500 grand this year.
Well, luckily I made that prediction and the feds got wind of it and decided they would.
They said, we will not. Chad Murdock, we will not.
They're not going to let me be right.
Anything to prove you wrong, all right? Yeah.
Well, tune in next month for the stats and keep up to date. And of course, if you want to see any of the historical ones, go check it out on our channel. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next month.
See ya.